In the video you just watched, the narrator explained 3 views of fractions: part whole, division, and ratio. In this module, you will focus on fractions as part-whole relationships. Starting here is important because of the developmental nature of fractions and learning. Complete the formative interview, correct shares. Consider your own thinking as well as how students might go about solving and explaining their reasoning. What will they know and be able to do? What errors might they make? This assessment is typically conducted as a one-to-one interview between the student and teacher. It is a conversation to help you gather information about what a student knows and understands. In session 2, you will think about how to bring a similar conversation to small group or whole group work. This would be a good opportunity to collaborate with a colleague and do the math together. Now take a few minutes to name some of the big ideas embedded in the study of fractions that came up while answering the interview question. Then connect those ideas to the grade level foundational standards. You can use the guiding questions to support your thinking. This is a helpful math discussion to have with colleagues. Based on what you anticipate students will know and be able to do, what do they understand about fractions? Based on the errors you anticipate, what do students often misunderstand about fractions? How does the mathematics that came up in the interview assessment relate to your grade level foundational standards? In the handouts for the session, you can access typical responses students give when completing the interview and the related misconception or understanding that students may hold. Pause the video and take a moment to review that handout now. Consider how the thinking is similar or different from what you anticipated about your own students. Practices like the fraction interview embodied the vision for mathematics. Review the vision, then take a few minutes to reflect on this question. How does the correct shares interview align with the vision for mathematics? Connecting back to the vision statement will be an important part of your practice. You can always use the prompt, "How does this align?" when wondering how your teaching connects to the vision. Here is some of our thinking about the correct shares interview. The correct shares interview promotes reasoning and problem solving, moving beyond the application of rote procedures. The correct shares interview aligns to learning experiences where students construct conceptual understanding through a process of inquiry. Students may struggle, and that's okay. As a formative and discussion-based assessment, the correct shares interview demonstrates that math is a learning subject, not a performing subject. In other words, a student's process and thinking is far more valuable to the teacher than if the student got the answer right or wrong. This brings us to the end of Session 1 in this 3-part series. Before Session 2 in this series, complete your Bridge to Practice. The Bridge to Practice is a self-directed activity for you to complete that expands on the ideas presented in the session. This could take the form of a video, reading, activity, or an application of some of the learning from the session in your own classroom. There will be at least one Bridge to Practice activity for each session. Thank you for completing this part of the module. Because the sessions build on each other, we recommend coming back to complete Session 2 in 1 to 3 weeks. This will provide you time to engage with the Bridge to Practice and have that experience fresh in your mind for the next session.